What's going on, everybody? This it's gonna be another aimless talk, except we do have a little bit of aim or direction today. I do have a little bit of an idea of where I want to go with this specifically, and usually we kind of jump around all over the place. It can be like several different topics. There's no notes today. This was just something I actually just got done training and ate dinner. And while I was eating dinner, I was, thinking, what can I record tonight? Is there something specifically that I was really thinking about earlier today? And nothing really uh, was jumping out at me. I feel like today was kind of a all right, so backstory have been, I've been dealing with for probably like 10 days now a little GI bow issue. They not to be. We're not going to get into that TMI category in this video, so we'll just leave it at that. But been dealing with that, and it progressively was getting worse and worse and worse, and that consequently led to more uncomfortableness and inability to really train that hard. It was affecting my eating. I was definitely not eating the anywhere, I don't think, near the same amount of calories. Definitely not around the same amount of protein, because I was trying to limit the protein I was eating, just because protein. It's I guess it depends who the person is. Sometimes people like get backed up if they eat a lot of protein. Some people, you hear the word like the protein shits. So it's like I don't really know. I don't think I really fall in either of those categories. I just kind of was like, I don't want to over consume protein, so and I don't really count what my macros always are throughout the day. I've calculated it one time, and I pretty much eat the same stuff all the time. Obviously, dinners will vary, whatever brand I concocts, which is always like a 5-star dinner. You know, other than like the dinners varying, breakfast and snacks and lunch, I mean, they're always the same. So I kind of know where I'm always at on a pretty steady basis. But definitely, I know um, I was feeling it because my energy was a little low, and I felt like the little workouts that I was doing just you didn't have that same output, like the power output. So that was rough, because I been on such a nice steady streak for a while now of having like no real issues. I mean, I got, which actually it's a lot better now, but just in like right sided and then occasionally left sided back issues, and it's actually been really good lately. But irregardless, even if I do have the issues with the back, I'm always still able to figure out ways to train extremely hard or just working around the issue. But this was like one of those things where it's like kind of affects your whole body, and it was rough. So today was like my first real hard training day back, and I was sitting eating dinner, and I just was all I was like thinking of anything that had happened today that just kind of sparked my interest, or I was thinking about. And I'm like, all I was thinking about earlier today was this whole issue that I was having. So there it was. I was really agitated and kind of pissed off, honestly, all weekend and today, just because of this issue that I've been having. And the the reason why, and this actually leads right into what I'm going to just address today. The video should be relatively short. I say that, it's probably not going to be. Um, but it just what I want to I feel like what would be useful just to go over, sort of my training, my goals, what I'm training for, how I do it, just useful tips that I think that honestly just apply to anybody, no matter what your goals are in your training. There's just some principles that just apply and they're universal. Obviously, there's some others that won't because it depends on what your goal is. You're not going to take like what my goals are and my process to how I'm going to achieve those and apply this somebody else that has nowhere near the same goals. It's just that's not practical. But there are certain things that are universal, and that's why I feel like it'd be useful to share this. So, yes, the reason why I've just been really frustrated is because so today's Monday. Um, on Sunday, we are going to the Arnold Sports Festival, and I'm gonna do the Arnold Pump and Run. It's the 5K. So you bench press. So I guess it depends on your age. So like for my age and my gender, I have to bench my body weight for reps. Now, the older you get, it turns into 70% of your body weight or 80% of your body weight, and that's kind of their way of leveling the playing field. So for me, I have to bench my body weight for as many reps as possible. Every rep that you bench takes off 30 seconds of your 5K time. So you do the bench press, then I think that the 5K is just like it's like 2 hours later. I'm not sure exactly the details of how it works, but it's not like you bench and then go run right after. So that's that's been the thing I've been training for past couple months, and lo and behold, you know, the week leading up, the week prior to leading up to this, it's just you I run into this issue, and it's affecting my training because my energy is low, and it's just cramping, and that so I just was really frustrated, and then I was bloated, and I felt like I was retained. Had to drink a lot of fluid because of the stuff, like the medicine I was taking, um, and I feel like I was retaining a lot of fluids, and obviously, retaining other things, uh, and I feel like that was like jacking up my body weight because I'd really been strategically trying to lower my body weight, but very incrementally, so that I'm not losing. So it would feel better in my training if I incrementally lost weight because I feel like my strength wouldn't be going down as much. It would give my body like a chance to sort of accommodate to the drop in body weight. If I was to just drop 8 to 10 pounds right off the bat just by purely calorie restriction, and I feel like that would shock my system. I feel my strength would go down pretty low. That would be training in this state that isn't really conducive to building strength and fitness. So it's like incrementally trying to lower it, and then now I got this going on, was kind of like screwing up my whole plan with the weight, and I feel like I was heavier. I'm trying to get to a certain weight, like I can't really lose it. So it was a mess. That was really frustrating me because that's like the one thing I was really aiming for the past couple of months. And today actually had a huge turn the corner. Tried this new, I guess if you want to call it medication. It was like an over the counter thing. So tried it today, and it actually has worked like magic, and feeling better. It was a first dinner that I've eaten in a long time where I just smashed it, and then I ate some my usual stuff after. I'll usually make so instead of mixing a scoop of protein powder in just a shaker with water, some people do almond milk or whatever. Instead of doing that, I have been putting a scoop in a bowl with some Greek yogurt and a little bit of cottage cheese, and then I just mix that up. And then, depending on how I feel my calories have been that day, I will rip off a couple bites of. Brianna makes this protein bark that sits in the freezer, and I could probably eat the whole entire tray. Not, well, actually, not probably. I 100% could eat that entire tray. It's that good. Some days I'll rip off a little more than that than other days, just depending on how I feel like my training has gone, and I feel like I can afford to have a have a little bit more of it, because honestly, I just like it so much that I like that I want to, even if it's even if I don't need as much as I'm consuming, I just like to eat it because it's really good. So I enjoy it, and so yeah, I had all that, and I'm like feeling great, no issues. So we are back on track. So this is very promising. So this entire week, hopefully, knock on wood, everything is straightened out. We're good to go, and we can, do great and perform well on Sunday. So let's just like spend, not too long. We're 10 minutes in right now. Let's keep it under 20 minutes. Just like spend a little bit of time just going over my training and my goals. So obviously, I just mentioned this goal of the pump and run. That's been something I've been training for the past couple months. Why? I'm now very in this mindset of where I want to train myself to be what I would, consider called like a hybrid athlete. It's not necessarily a strength based, not necessarily an endurance based, um, but it's both, and that could be, your strength could be a number of things, and your endurance could be a number of different things, as far as routes that you can pursue. And for me, for my strength, I'm more concerned at this point with my upper body strength. The lower body strength is more of a just it's actually almost more of like a strength endurance type of training that I do to my lower body, solely because of my just inability to really load my body heavy with weight in terms of, squats and deadlifts and RDLs and other things like that. Again, I do them. I can do them. It's just um, the risk reward for me right now is just not worth it. Uh, I keep going back and forth where I'll load it up really heavy, then then I run into issues where I'm beat up and I just can't train hard. I'm just in pain, and it's nothing that it's nothing that is wrong with doing that, or going hard. It's just like right now with my circumstances of how things have just gone, and in my life leading up to this point with just different injuries and uh, other variables, it's just not in the cards right now. So I'm really pursuing like the lower half, which is a lot of strength endurance, and then my upper half is just pure max strength, and just trying to be as physically strong as possible with the upper body up. Obviously, like you'll get the endurance out of that, but I'm really just focused on just max strength for that. And on the flip side of things, for the endurance, the thing that I've really taken on has been running. And I, by accident, the one day I text Brianna, honestly, I can't remember if I talked about this on here, but I texted her, hey, I'm just gonna go for a run. I'll be home in a little bit. End up running 10 miles. Just not to say like accidentally, but it kind of was accidentally. I just started running, looked at the time. I was like, oh my God, it's been a while. Let's see how far I've ranked. I'm tracking on my phone. And I think it was like 6 or 7 miles. Like, oh wow, that I didn't realize that. So let's just like, I don't know, let's do another. Let's do another. And then you get to 9, you're like, well, might as well go to 10. So that was like in the fall. And it's like, wow, I didn't realize I could do that. And I think that's just a product of the way that I've always trained. And it's just training hard. And you're not lollygagging. You're not, you do a set and you screw around or whatever. It's just always a good intensity. And I think that was just purely a product of that. Because I hadn't, I mean, I run, but it's not like I'm running with a purpose for uh, distance or what I mean, it's just more or less like I'm gonna just run today just because, and that's exactly what I texted Bram. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna go for a run. So I didn't realize I had that in me. So I'm like, well, let's explore this, and got addicted very quickly. I'm like, all right, since I can't really train my lower body with like this like max intensity that I would like to that I do with my upper body, let's use the running as my way to train my lower body with that max intensity. And I love it. And this is where the hybrid kind of athlete has been adopted with my training. So I find out that you can do at the Arnold this pump and run. It's like it was like it fit perfectly. It was like the stars aligned. I decided to pursue this route, and then I'm like, I don't know how I saw it or where it came up, but then I'm like, oh my god, you can test your upper body strength and then go run. So that was what I trained for. So although it's not like a 1 rep max on the bench press, it's endurance, but still, it's it is still strength. So that's my current goal, and it's coming up, and things have gone well. And after that, gonna still continue to. Let's just talk like a meathead for a second, because this is real. This is real talk. The goal is just really to be as jacked as possible and have the best fitness and endurance as possible. It's literally just to be the most well-rounded um, fitness athlete as possible. And I'm training the way that I like to train to achieve those goals. And I've never had more fun in my training as I'm having right now. And I think that's so important. You have to have your training has to be enjoyable. It has to be obviously very difficult, but it has to be enjoyable. And it has to get you. You have to find something that you really want to pursue, and something that's going to get you addicted, and it's going to keep you coming back for more, keep you hungry. And you have to establish these goals, and you break them, and you establish new goals. And it's addicting. And you have to find that thing for you. And that's like the biggest thing I always tell people is like between training and working out, like just working out. Unfortunately, I was doing while I was in PT school. It was just kind of it was literally aimless working out. There was no real plan or goal. It was just going through the motions, and the progress stunk. Among other, there was other variables that contributed to why they stunk. But a lot of it did definitely have to do with just the. I think it might have been split 50-50. You had your environmental factors, then you also had the training, or lack thereof training. It was just working out. So you have to have a focused goal, you have to have a focused plan, and you have to stick to it, and it has to be aggressive in nature. So um, once once this competition is over, like I mentioned, the goal is still to just be as jacked as possible, be as lean as possible, lean and mean, and then just push that endurance. Because the ultimate goal this year I turned 30, and I am 1,000% in the best shape of my life, and the goal is to go into my 30s in the best shape of my life, and to hopefully run a marathon. Something that I never thought that I would ever be saying about myself. So um, that is what my training is going to be centered around. It's just it's difficult because with this hybrid style of training, sometimes you feel like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You push the endurance a little bit more. You feel like your strength might suffer. Or you push your strength, and then you're beat up and you can't push the endurance. What I've found is that if you just allow it time to marinate, you sort of level out both of those to where they become inconsequential. So I push my strength pretty hard now, as much as as hard as possible on my upper body, and then as hard as I can reasonably do on my lower body. But I'm still able to push the endurance as well. There, there are days that you're more fatigued and a little more tired, sore from the strength training sessions. But the only thing that I've noticed that suffers for me is just the time. If I'm gonna go try to run a certain distance for time, it's just gonna be slower. But in my mind, I'm more concerned with just getting the miles, getting the hours, getting the volume, because I think you just load your body enough and overload it enough that to the point where it will adapt, and then your body responds, and it builds back stronger. So and it builds back with more endurance and more fitness. So personally, I'm not going out there trying to run a PR every time I run. I'm just putting in the work, putting in the road work, putting in the miles, putting in the miles, and then when I want to turn it up, like this Sunday, then I just adjust my plans accordingly. And if I want to run a PR in a 5K Sunday, I'm going to do the necessary steps leading up to it to ensure that. So I'm not going to crush the squats this week. I'm going to do a lot of sleds because like that doesn't really beat up my legs, but it helps the endurance. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I put in a lot of miles on the Rogue fan bike. I usually go for an hour, which comes out to be 21 miles. So I'll probably do that tomorrow night. And because the calories burned on that bike, it'll say like something like 620 something, which obviously is I'm shooting it. I don't connect my phone to that because I don't have a heart rate monitor, so I'm not connecting my phone to the bike. And if I did, it would actually be able to give me probably more accurate caloric output because it actually is giving me my heart rate. But it's gonna be way high. Obviously, it's way higher than 600 calories that are burned, especially on that fan bike. That is a real son of a bitch riding that thing for an hour. Oh my god, it's. I didn't realize that like how bad that hurts your ass just riding the bike for that long. It's incredible. I mean, the obviously it's hard, like riding the bikes to your legs, and you're getting tired. Your heart rate's. I would love to know what my heart rate is. I just don't have that heart rate monitor. But I can feel it. It's high the entire hour, and none of that. I mean, all of that pales in comparison to just the tailbone ass pain that you feel on that bike. So I do. I'm gonna hit that, and then I trained my body in the garage tonight, and then I did a little bit of running with a weighted vest, and I'm just going to sort of systematically in a way just make sure I'm primed and ready to go for Sunday. And then after that it's going to turn into just pure volume of endurance. It's going to be interesting because I'm going to have to get with a couple of people that I know that have ran the marathons. I'm going to do some research a little bit online and see how exactly to get on a plan. But I'm shooting for something in the fall, so I got plenty of time. And right now, I would say from you know March all the way up to the beginning of summer. So basically all the way through spring, it's just going to be putting in just like I said, putting in the road work, just getting the miles in, continuing to push that endurance as much as possible, and then that way I can get on a strategic, set out plan to prepare for that marathon. So um, it's really not the endurance that I'm worried about necessarily in the marathon, as far as like a cardiovascular. I know that, and I know I can handle that. I guess I don't know because I've never done it, but I would assume that I can handle that part of it. Mentally, think I'm there. I could probably I can handle that. Again, it's just hard to say because I've never done it. So I'm not trying to sound like a hot shot to be like, I'm so I can handle anything. Who you don't know, I guess, would be my answer to that. But I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt, and I'll, you know, that when push comes to shove, we're going to do it. So I think, mentally, we're going to be fine on that end. But it's going to be more of that physical. I feel like, because like that's the thing I noticed when I do a lot of volume on running. It's just like the joints aren't used to it. So that's my goal for the spring, is just get my body just really acclimated to the volume of running and the impact on the joints. So that way, when it comes time to actually get on a plan, like, we're ready to go. We're not going to have to, miss time because of soreness or whatnot. And just like a side note, uh, you know, this is the most, like I said, this is the most fit that I have been, and this is the most dialed in that I've ever been, as far as, like a biopsychosocial, environmental factors. I'm doing everything possible to mitigate anything that would be negative to performance. So everything's pretty, like, good and dialed in. Obviously, there's some things like the peanut butter bark. It's probably uh, not optimal, but look, if peanut butter, because peanut butter is probably my biggest vice. I love peanut butter. It's my I literally have one vice in life, and it is peanut butter. I just can't. It, I could eat the entire jar. So, like, she makes this protein peanut butter frozen bark, and that's just like, I mean, look, it's probably not the most optimal thing to be eating, but if that's my biggest issue, we're good. I'm not worried about that. So everything's pretty locked in, and that you need to be. You have to be. If you're gonna if you have if you're serious, okay, like, if you want to actually improve your life, you actually want to achieve goals, you have to be serious. And that's the one thing that I've noticed with myself that I've changed a lot of. It's no longer just saying something because it makes you feel good, that you're saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And you work towards it for a little bit, and you always find that, like, one little thing that gives you an out, that you don't have to do it anymore. And if you're really serious, you're gonna there's obviously some things in life that you can avoid. A case in point, whatever I had going on with my, digestive system, but I was still finding ways to stay on track. I was not just completely derailing and throwing everything out the window. So you still have to stick to the plan. And what helps with that, which is hard when you're young, but when you get older, something I've noticed is that you develop that, what they call your moral compass. And once you find and figure out your moral compass, everything else becomes easier, because whatever variable gets thrown into your life that tries to derail you from your goal, as you're dedicated to and you're focused on, but there's going to come things in life that do, blindside you or enter into your life that could cause things to go, not as planned, whether that be, like I said, sicknesses, illnesses, and then any really said any environmental or just biopsychosocial factor, things with friends or family, and what have you. But as long as you have that moral compass, you're going to be okay. You're going to figure out a way through it. And getting into, like, my older age now, that's something that I've really solidified, and I know what it is. I'm never confused about what is right or what is wrong. It's pretty much always a given now, and that's hard to have when you are young, because our brains aren't fully developed, and it's just one of those things. Obviously, there's some kids that I do come across, like, they are they are like a late 20s, early 30-year-old trapped inside of a adolescent's body, because just they're so mature, and that's awesome to see. But that's not the case for everybody. So my advice, something to take home at the end of this video, would just be, yeah, you need to start to figure out what that moral compass is, and don't be discouraged if it takes a while, or if you can't, and things don't always go as planned at the beginning. But you have to start to set that foundation now, and you have to start to figure it out now. And then as you do get older, there's just going to be a lot of things that do test you, and you probably will fail, and um, you definitely won't follow your moral compass. But sometimes, um, like I said, the those failures, or things that don't always go right, the challenges and the hardships, that those help build you, and those fortify you, and those make you into a stronger person and a stronger human, and whatever avenue you're pursuing in your life. So, and that's what I love about training. It's just it's such a, it goes way beyond the weight room, or the gym. This is just you learn so much about yourself in the pursuit of something like this that's very physically demanding and challenging, and it just has such a profound effect just on the rest of your life. And that's what I do love about what I do, is because it helps. I get a chance to help these young athletes try to figure out that moral compass through this pursuit of strength and fitness. And it it's just a simple Google search online will show you the positive impacts that strength training, exercise, improving your fitness has on your life and your health, physically, mentally, emotionally. So that's that's the video. So just long story short, we are, with my training, the goal, just be lean, mean, and able to run forever, and ultimate goal of just being able to run a marathon. And what I would encourage anybody to do is to today, if it's after watching this video or whenever, hopefully soon, you should try to write out why you train. And if you feel like you're not pursuing something, you don't have actual goals, it might be time to find those. And I think you'll be surprised of how much more addicting this whole process could be, of just training and improving your fitness. It could be anything. Another thing that I would like to do eventually is to get a group of athletes. They have like the Spartan races. I think the Spartan race is more interesting than the other sort of. I think like obstacle course races. The Spartan one intrigues me the most. So like, um, it can even be things like that. Like, if obviously if you're out of a sport, like, more often than not. So like, if you're a middle school, high school, college, and your sport is your goal, and obviously like you have those real tangible goals for your sport. But if you are like me, and you are not really competing in anything per se, but you have come from a competitive background, and that was always the thing that pushed you, was that competitiveness. It's probably time to find something to compete with yourself in, but also others. And you'll find that your training probably, because you might find that your working out gets shifted to training, and then your progress and your health and fitness skyrockets, and you'll probably start to cut out things that aren't attributing to your main goal now, because now you have something to train for you. So now you'll start to see that you're adjusting things in your life that you didn't realize might have been impacting why you haven't been making progress in certain avenues. So we are way over 20 minutes, but hey, that's on brand, I guess. So we'll cut it here. We'll probably be back again tomorrow. Definitely going to especially this week. Maybe I'll rename this something different than just Aimless Talk. And then the next couple of videos, maybe I will um, have little updates, getting ready for this competition on Sunday, and then have some hopefully good news about how the competition went Sunday. So I've obviously like an idea in mind of how I want to do, and hopefully we will accomplish that, and I'll find ways to I'll find ways to try to document it as we go. So it'll be fun. All right, so until then, hopefully no other no other suspect stuff goes on in the stomach, and we crush it. So all right, I will talk to you guys next time.